Hello, Xeo-verse here. I'm doing something a little new on the channel. Inspired by Star Urk's Xeo-verse Batman, I'm making Xeo-verse Batman. I was originally going to tell the story via stop motion, but was unable to due to working on Crimson Avenger. With that being said, let's get into our first part. Of course, starting off with Batman himself. There's a very similar to the one I used in my Arkham Asylum custom showcase, using the same legs, torso, arms, hands, and cape, but its cowl is the one for the Lego Batman movie, and underneath the head print is also from the Lego movie and Lego Batman movie with a misprint, where instead of having the black, it has pure white on this side. So I'm using it to give him a new expression where it still keeps the white in the eyes. This story takes place the first part of this story is taking place 2 years into his existence as Batman. So I mainly did this just so I can have a slow introduction with all the villains and allies that we'll meet across the series. Anyway, so he's kind of a little inexperienced right now, but he's doing pretty well, and quite a few small tier criminals have been stopped. Our story opens with Batman taking on a disgruntled and recently fired special effects artist turned firefighter named Garfield Lynns, now going under the moniker Firefly. For him, I used the hair from Zane of the Ninjago movie, the head from Guitar Alfred from the CMF, a half mask from Ninjago, torso and legs from a firefighter minifigure, an arm from Wildstyle from the Lego movie, and another arm from Lloyd from the Lego movie to represent his prototype flame gun. He's got 2 black hands and a welding torch. What's going on is that Linz is trying to commit arson or something involving fire at least, and he gets stopped by Batman. But in the fight, as he's losing, he tries to make his attack with his prototype flame launcher, but since it is only a work in progress, it ends up not working and explodes, setting him alight and horribly disfiguring him. He is sent to the hospital, obviously, but he's decided to not be persecuted for his crimes, assuming that he has actually learned his lesson and will not go around messing with fire this time. Surely there will be no repercussions for this later. But yeah, that's Firefly. We then Batman then learns, about the existence of some underground factions going on around the city, being run by some suspicious criminals and characters, first of which being Oswald Cobblepot the Penguin. He, in this universe, is an old circus ringleader who is crazy and did some rather awful practices in his shows. After being, of course, imprisoned for his crimes, he has later broken out. He's been released, which either way, it's not specified, and is now taking charge as a crime boss. His hat comes from the classic Penguin minifigure. His head comes from Penguin from the Lego Batman movie. He's got a classic yellow pauldron. His torso is from a clown from the CMF with orange arms and hands. And his legs also come from the Penguin, but a different version. But a good crime boss is not one without a good bodyguard, and the Penguin has a man by the name of Waylon Jones, aka the Killer Croc, working by his side. There's not much known about this guy other than he works for the Penguin and is his right-hand bodyguard. His head is from Chima from one of the random crocodiles, same with the arms. I would have used olive green hands, but I couldn't find them. And then his torso and legs come from the Frankenstein's monster rocker from minifigure series 14. We are then introduced to a man by the name of Edward Nigma, before he's Edward Nigma, he is Edward Nashton currently. He is convinced he will become the next big-time criminal under the moniker The Riddler, but currently he is just a small-time criminal working under a mysterious man by the name of the Joker. His hair is from Jay. His head I got from Build a Minifigure. His torso is Jestro's but flipped around, and he has white arms and hands, and his legs are from the Firework Rocket guy. He is committing a robbery on some factory somewhere, but is of course put to a stop by Batman along with the rest of the people at his disposal, and is promptly locked away due to his crimes and affiliations with this strange man running in the shadows. The robbery was done against a wealthy power plant owner named Alex Sartorius. He he's just your generic wealthy businessman, however, might have a few shady practices going on, and a few dealings with future antagonists in the series. And as for some of you who are well versed in the comics, the name Alex Sartorius may sound kind of familiar, and we'll get onto that in later parts. His hair is from. It's been in a lot of places, like Luke Skywalker, I believe it came Jurassic Park as well, but I don't know where I got it from. His head comes from a Nova Corps guy from Guardians of the Galaxy. His torso is the Penguins, with same arms and hands, and his legs are light blue. Sartorius congratulates Batman for defeating all the bad guys who tried to kill him and stuff. And then we get to see that he's making a few deals going on in the shadows. Some shady deals with some shady characters. He appears to be selling off his wares and stuff to other people. Not only, of course, he's a power plant owner, so he deals in chemicals, and who knows what he's selling off to who. Part 1 ends with Nashton imprisoned in the Arkham Asylum institution. His hair is still Jay's, and his head is from the Harry Potter bus driver. His arms, hands, torso, and legs all come from any Arkham inmate character. I'm using the Joker since it's the only one I own officially. Anyway, so he's imprisoned here for his, of course, crimes working for the Joker, and the warden and his men are trying to get out any information they can about who this mysterious criminal mastermind could be, since they've had problems with him for a couple of years now at this point before Batman stepped into the picture. Of course, he's not giving up any information too easily since he still thinks he's an up-and-coming villain. The man assigned to him is a medical specialist and psychologist named Jonathan Crane, who is rather unceremoniously nicknamed the Scarecrow by fellow inmates due to his facial disfigurements. His hair come from a lot of places. His head is from the Squidbeard guy from Pirates of the Caribbean. His arms, hands, and torso are all from Dr. Octopus, and then he has some black legs. Dr. Crane has been performing a lot of psychological analyses and medical tests on patients for years at this point in the institution, but recently he's started to grow annoyed of their ridicule of him, and has recently come into contact with a special chemical marked with the initials AS, and has combined it with some of Garfield Lindsay's own concoctions that he made for his arson and stuff, because he was asked to examine the body when it was brought into the hospital back then. He has now used it to create a formula that will scare his patients to give them any information he wants. He's just done with being constantly ridiculed and just wants the information gotten out of them, even if that means scaring them straight to do it. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this little venture into a random side story that I have going on. It's something a little different, something a little crazy. Hope you enjoyed though, and this is Xeo-verse closing off.